In this lecture, I'm going to provide a basic and fundamental overview of some very general categories of research and the use of populations in order to obtain samples. So the two basic types of research is quantitative and qualitative. When we talk about quantitative research, we're actually applying numerical values to the information, typically under standardized conditions. And so in this approach, we will be applying various formulas and equations to analyze those numerical values. The second basic type of research is qualitative research, and qualitative research is that research in which numerical values are not applied to research observations. So the drawing conclusions from this type of research is obtained from using questionnaires that are typically open-ended, surveys, interviews, and various other observations. And so, as indicated, qualitative does not apply numerical descriptions to the observations of research, and this is common research when trying to describe human behavior in different settings. And this type of research is often used when examining different clinical conditions or when trying to examine the effectiveness of various educational methods on learning or human behavior. But in moving forward with quantitative research, we begin to define various fundamental elements. And when conducting quantitative research, once again, we're applying numerical values to observations. We first identify variables, and we identify a variable as something that we're observing, a characteristic or a condition that varies, so that can change person to person and can take on different values for different individual. The term data is, as indicated before, is a term that refers to information, but in quantitative research, data just usually refers to the numerical values. And the term data is the plural form of datum, which refers to one numerical value. A data set is a collection of these measurements or observations, and as mentioned, datum refers to just a single numerical value obtained from just one observation or a single measurement. We often refer to that datum as a score, sometimes refer to as a raw score. But in this course, we're going to refer to those individual numbers as just simply a score. Different types of statistics will be calculated as part of a quantitative research project, and descriptive statistics is the first line statistical analysis that is done. And descriptive statistics is a way of summarizing a collection of numerical values. So descriptive statistics not only summarize but helps to organize and simplifies a larger collection of numbers. Inferential statistics takes the next step after descriptive statistics are generated, and inferential statistics allows us to take data and descriptive statistics from samples and allows us to make generalizations to the populations from which those samples were obtained. So recall that when we talk about a sample, we're taking a small subset of a population and making direct observations on the sample, but we don't have direct observations on the entire population. Inferential statistics allows us to extend our data obtained from the sample to arrive at conclusions about the population, given that there will be a degree of what's called sampling error, and I'll illustrate that here on the next slide. And so sampling error refers to just naturally occurring variability, discrepancies that exists between a particular sample statistic, so a numerical value that was summarized from a group of data from the sample, to the population that we will estimate. So remember, with the population, we don't have observations on all the elements of the population. So we have these techniques that allows us to take the sample and to use the sample as an estimate of the population, given that there will be a degree of variability, or what we call error. So error does not mean mistake in this case, it means variability. So in this graphic here, we see an illustration of that sampling error. So imagine we wish to collect data for research purposes from a population of 1,000 college students. If we happen to know some of the descriptions for summarized data for that 1,000, here we see that the average age for this population is 21.3 years. A way to measure IQ here was taken at 112.5, and the population consisted of 65% females and 35% males. Now, if we want to take a small subset of this population, we do this on the left-hand side. So here we take one sample of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those college students. So our sample size, which is the first statistic we provide, is 5. So we have a sample size of 5, and from that we calculate the average age. In this case it's 19.8. The average IQ is 104.6, and this sample was made up of 60% females and 40% males. And we take a second sample of that 1,000, and here we see we have a sample size of 5, but the sample consists of different elements, different individuals from that population. And when we calculate the average age, we see we get 20.4. The average IQ is 114.2, and this sample was made up of 40% females and 60% males. So in terms of sampling error, what we see is that depending upon the sample that we randomly selected in this hypothetical, our sample statistics will not match exactly the population parameters for either of these samples. Inferential statistics allows us to get a sense, or an estimate of the degree of variability or error of our sample statistics away from the population parameters. So this ends this video on on population and sample statistics and different types of research.